Simply economic, simply simply economics. Big ideas made small. Everyday money talk for any mind at all. Simply economics. Learn fast, feel smart. One quick listen and you're ready to start.
Okay, I want you to picture a specific moment. It's maybe a Tuesday morning around 8:30.
Right.
You're standing in line at that one coffee shop. You know the one I mean.
Mm-hmm. The one with the succulents and the guy in the beanie.
Exactly. And you finally get to the register. You order your, I don't know, your oat milk vanilla latte, and you tap your card. $7.
Maybe 8 with a tip.
Maybe 8 for a drink that is mostly ice and milk. And what's funny is, rationally, you'd never do that at home. But you walk away from that counter, and you don't feel ripped off. You feel good, even.
Validated.
Yes, validated. Why is that? I mean, why does our economic logic just completely evaporate when we walk through that door?
It's a great question. It's the paradox of the modern consumer, isn't it? If you break that cup down to its basic parts, beans, water, some oat juice, the margin is, frankly, offensive.
Right. It makes no sense.
But we aren't really operating in a logical economy in that shop. We're stepping into a theater.
A theater. That sounds a bit dramatic for a place that just sells caffeine.
Well, is it? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're doing a deep dive into the mechanics of why we pay what we pay, and we're using this fascinating piece of research called the latte effect, selling the experience economy.
Okay.
And we're really focusing on excerpt EP5, which I think just tears down the curtain on this whole performance.
And reading through this, I have to say, I went in thinking we'd be talking about, inflation or supply chains. But this isn't actually about coffee at all, is it?
Well, not even a little bit. The research is very clear on this. If you think you're paying for a beverage, you're completely missing the transaction.
So what am I paying for?
You are buying, and I'm quoting the text here, a feeling, a space, and a routine.
See, that's where my inner skeptic starts, waving a big red flag. Buying a feeling sounds like marketing fluff.
I get that.
Is there actual weight to that concept, or is it just a clever way to sell overpriced milk?
It's definitely marketing, sure, but it's marketing that's backed by some pretty heavy behavioral psychology and economic theory. The text really builds this on 3 pillars: the experience economy, emotional utility, and identity formation. These aren't just buzzwords. They're the levers being pulled to get that $7 from you.
All right, so let's pull on that first lever then, the experience economy. I feel like I hear that term thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean here? Because I remember when a coffee shop just sold coffee.
Right, and that's the evolution the research is tracing.
Yeah.
Think of it like a ladder of economic value. At the very bottom, you have the agrarian economy. I sell you a bag of coffee beans for $1. You do all the work.
That's the cheapest option, but yeah, it's the highest effort.
Exactly. Then you climb a run to the service economy. I brew the beans for you. You pay for the labor, the convenience. That's like your classic diner coffee. $1.50, maybe $2.
Okay.
But we've moved past that. The experience economy says, I'm not just brewing beans for you. I am staging a memorable event.
A memorable event. It's a latte on a Tuesday morning.
But look around at the environment. The research argues that the value isn't in the object, the cup. It's in the stage that's directed around the object. That experience value is what bridges the gap between the $2 diner coffee and the $7 latte.
So you're not just paying for the liquid, you're paying for the playlist and the lighting.
Precisely. You're paying for the sensory input that surrounds the liquid.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here for a second. If the experience is the actual product, why do people pay that same premium when they just grab the cup and go?
That is a fantastic point.
I mean, if I'm walking out the door, I'm not consuming the stage. I'm just staring at the sidewalk.
The text gets into this. It's a bit nuanced, but it boils down to something called willingness to pay. The argument is that the experience value gets embedded into the brand itself.
So the cup becomes like a souvenir of the experience, even if you leave.
It's a totem of that experience, exactly. But let's stick with the in-store experience for a moment, because that's where the economics are the clearest. The text asks this core question. Why do people pay more for drinks consumed inside the shop?
Well, the obvious answer is I need a place to sit, right? I need Wi-Fi. I need to get out of my messy apartment.
Right. You need what they call a third place. It's not work. It's not home. But here's the trick. You can't just charge someone rent for a chair.
I mean, you could. That's what WeWork does.
True, but imagine a cafe with a turnstile. $5 to enter, coffee is free. Psychologically, we'd hate that. It feels cold and transactional.
Yeah, that feels weird.
But $7 for a cappuccino, you can sit as long as you want. That feels like a treat. The research suggests the coffee is just the admission ticket. You are paying rent. It's just disguised as a beverage.
That is a kind of a disturbing way to look at it. I'm just subsidizing real estate through foam.
Pretty much. The research links staying power. How long you linger directly to the atmosphere. The decor, the music, the lighting. These aren't just aesthetic choices. They are product features.
So if the chair is uncomfortable, you leave.
You leave, and the experience value plummets. If the playlist is jarring, you leave. The shop is selling you a micro-lease on a better environment than the one you currently have access to.
So when the text asks, how do decor and atmosphere affect demand? The answer is, they are the demand.
They create the utility.
Yeah.
And that brings us perfectly to that second big pillar, emotional utility.
Okay, I struggle with this one a little bit. In my head, utility means usefulness. You know, a hammer has utility. A raincoat has utility. How does ambience have utility?
Well, in behavioral economics, looking cool is absolutely a function. But it's deeper than that.
Okay.
Utility just means the satisfaction or benefit you get from a good. We usually think of functional utility, caffeine wakes me up.
Yeah.
But the research argues that ambience adds emotional utility. Think about your state of mind when you walk in. Maybe you're stressed, you're tired.
Always.
You walk into this space. The lighting is warm. The music is, lo-fi beats or indie folk. Something designed to be soothing but hip. The smell of roasted coffee and milk. That environment literally regulates your emotions. It calms you down. It helps you focus.
That emotional shift. That's the utility.
That is the utility.
Yeah.
You are paying to change how you feel.
So the latte effect, which is what they call it, isn't just about blowing money on something frivolous. It's a form of emotional management.
That's the charitable way to put it, and I think it's the accurate way. The text defines the latte effect as consumers overvaluing small daily pleasures. But overvalue is an economist's term.
Right.
It assumes the only value is in the raw materials. But if that 15 minutes in the shop lowers your blood pressure and gives you a moment of sanity, have you really overvalued it? Or did you just pay the market rate for a little bit of peace?
That makes me feel a little bit better about my bank statement. But there's another side to this small daily pleasure thing, the routine. The source says we're buying a routine, not just a feeling.
Yes. And this is where we get into habit formation.
Because it does feel compulsive, doesn't it? It's not just, oh, I want a coffee. It's, I need to go to my place and get my drink.
It's the ritual of the purchase. Behavioral psychology shows us that humans crave predictability. We live in a world that's very uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen at work, what the news will be, but you know exactly what that vanilla latte will taste like. You know the sound of the steam wand.
It's a control mechanism.
It's a control mechanism, exactly. The text implies the purchase is part of a dopamine loop. The trigger isn't just the caffeine, it's the entire sequence. Walking in, ordering, waiting, getting the cup. It signals to your brain, okay, the day has started, or I'm safe, or I am taking care of myself.
Taking care of myself. It's funny you say that because that leads right into the third part of this, and honestly, the part that stung the most. The idea of identity formation.
Oh, this is the one that always makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, it feels personal. The text says we engage in identity formation through lifestyle choices. Basically, my coffee cup is a prop in a performance of who I am.
It is pure signaling theory.
But come on, it's a cup. Am I really trying to tell the world who I am with a beverage? It feels so high school.
Do we ever really leave high school psychologically? We just get better props. I mean, ask yourself this. Why do you choose that specific independent shop over the massive chain that's right on the next block?
Well, I like the vibe. I like supporting a local business. I like that they know my order.
Okay, stop right there. I like the vibe. I support local. They know my order. Those are all identity statements. You're signaling to other people, sure, but mostly to yourself, that you're the kind of person who appreciates quality, who supports the little guy, who has refined taste.
So when I'm holding that cup with the little minimalist stamped logo, I'm broadcasting. I am sophisticated and thoughtful.
And if you're holding the bright pink whipped cream topped drink from the big chain, you're signaling something else entirely. Maybe it's I'm fun or I don't take myself too seriously. The research calls it selling the vibe, but what it really is selling a template for a personality.
It's like wearing a band t-shirt.
It's exactly like that. It's tribal.
Yeah.
You walk into that shop, you look around. Do the other people there look like you? Do they dress like you, have the same laptop as you? If the answer is yes, you feel a sense of belonging.
And that's the identity piece.
That's the piece. You are paying for membership to a specific tribe, even if it's just for 20 minutes.
And the cup is the membership badge.
It is. So when the text talks about how consumers overvalue these items, it's missing the point if you don't look at it through the lens of identity. You're not buying coffee. You're reinforcing your self-image. And how much is that worth? To most of us, a lot more than $7.
It's funny because we think of ourselves as these rugged individualists, but you're saying we're just buying our lifestyles off the rack?
In the experience economy, yeah, I think so. We want to be unique, but in a way that's recognizable and validated by others. That's the tension. The cafe solves that. It feels bespoke. It's your order, your milk choice. But it's a standardized mass market experience. It lets you feel unique without the risk of actually being weird.
That is profoundly cynical,
Yeah.
but also hard to argue with.
I'd say it's just realistic.
But let's circle back to the main takeaway from the text. People don't just buy coffee. They buy a feeling, a space, and a routine. So it seems like the feeling is comfort, the space is a stage, and the routine is a safety blanket.
That's a perfect synthesis of it. And notice what's not on that list.
Thirst.
Thirst. If you were just thirsty, you'd drink tap water. And that's why the experience economy is so powerful and so resilient. You can always make coffee cheaper at home.
Yeah.
But you cannot manufacture the feeling of being in that bustling, cool public space in your own kitchen.
Right. You can't replicate the social signaling of walking into the office with that specific cup.
Exactly. So when we see prices creeping up, and they're always creeping up, we shouldn't expect demand to just fall off a cliff.
As long as that emotional utility is there.
Right. As long as that shop provides a sanctuary and a sense of self, people will find a way to pay. The price elasticity of coffee is high. The price elasticity of identity and comfort, that's much, much lower.
That really reframes the whole overvaluing thing for me. Maybe we aren't getting ripped off. Maybe we're just paying for things that used to be free, like a sense of community or a sense of place.
I think that's the deeper sociological point here. As our lives have become more digital and more isolated, the value of that physical third place just skyrockets. For a lot of people, the cafe has replaced the town square or the social club. The latte effect is just the price of admission for modern social life.
That's a heavy burden for a little paper cup to carry.
It is. But it's also why the industry is booming. They know what they're selling, and it isn't caffeine. It's a momentary anchor in a chaotic world.
So what's the takeaway for you, the listener? Next time you're standing in that line, debating if the extra $1 for the seasonal syrup is worth it, what should you be thinking?
I think you should just own it. Don't beat yourself up about wasting money. Acknowledge what you are actually buying in that moment. You're renting a space. You're buying a mood shift. You are confirming your identity. And if you understand that's the real transaction, you can make a clear decision about whether it's worth it.
Be a conscious consumer of your own identity.
Exactly. Don't let the experience economy manipulate you without your consent.
I love that. It makes me feel like I have a bit more agency, even if my wallet is still getting lighter.
Awareness is always the first step.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a huge wake-up call for me. I don't think I'll ever look at an exposed brick wall in a cafe the same way again.
You'll just see it as a line item on your receipt.
As I should. Before we wrap, though, I do want to leave everyone with one final thought to chew on. We've talked about how we use these spaces as a stage to perform our identity, and how we're sort of paying rent through our coffee. So here's the question the research pushes us toward. If we're paying for the set design, the lighting, and the prop cup, are we the customers of the cafe? Or are we actually the actors? Are we just paying to be the main character in the movie of our own life for 30 minutes?
That is existential dread in a coffee cup. I love it.
Just something to think about with your next latte. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.
That brings us to the end of today's episode of Simply Economics. We hope this discussion helped make today's economic concept clearer and more relevant to real life. If you found this episode useful, feel free to share it with others who are interested in understanding economics beyond the textbook. You can find Simply Economics on YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean. In our next episode, we'll continue exploring how economic theory applies to everyday decisions and real-world markets. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Simply Economics.